name is Rachel, and today I'm going to be doing task number 7 of the Read Harder Challenge. So task number 7 is an Own Voices book set in Mexico or Central America. And by this, I believe they mean a book by a Mexican or Central American author that is set from the country they originate in. So a book by a Mexican author set in a Mexican city, or a book in a Central American country set by an author from that country. So like a book about Honduras by an author from Honduras. So with that said, I focus mostly on Mexico. I don't really know why. I think just because I was having a very hard time with this category. One thing very strange that I noticed for this one was that a lot of the books that I know of that are set in Mexico are written by people from the US, and a lot of books that that I know about that are by Mexican authors are set in the US. So I had a very hard time for this one digging up books. It was very hard, and to be honest, I was surprised by that. So I found some options, but I really don't know much about any of these, and I have no recommendations that I have previously read that I could list for this one. So let's just look into the ones that I found that would work. First up is a book that is by a Mexican author, and I believe it's even possibly the city that he grew up in, so very Own Voices. And this one was really the cover. I don't know why, but I really liked the cover. Again, it's called The Name of the Dog. It's set in Christmas, and it's very narcotics, drug war based. I think it's gonna be kind of like a crime mystery, so I'm interested. I think it might have to do with like the Mexican drug cartel, maybe, maybe not, but I think it is very crime-based, drug-based in a Mexican city. I don't think it's Mexico City, but I think it is a Mexican city. So, found one that will work. I'm excited for that. I had been struggling for a while because I found several that I was super excited about, and then I realized that they weren't actually set in the place where they needed to be. So I was very, very bummed out and kind of aggravated with finding a book like this, and then I found this one. So this was, I feel like this could be the one just because it made me so happy to finally find one. Another popular one is Like Water for Chocolate. I believe this will work for this. I believe this is set in Mexico. It's called Like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquivel, and I believe she is from Mexico, and the book is set in Mexico. I've heard this title before, but to be honest, I don't 100% know what it's about. I think it's kind of a little bit of magical realism with a romance in it, so I'm not really sure, but yes, there we are. It is gonna work for this one. Another one that I think is going to be a contender just because I am absolutely in love with the title is The Story of My Teeth by Valerie Lucielli, and I believe this was set in Mexico City, and I believe this one is set in Mexico City, and the author herself was born in Mexico City, so I'm gonna go ahead and count this one as an option. I don't know anything about it. I just love the title. Now, I got really excited too because there is another book from the same author coming out this year, I believe even in February, called The Lost Children Archive. Another great title, and this is supposed to be a like summer road trip across America, and it just sounds very, very interesting. I've seen this cover so many times. I've heard this title so many times. I was like, yes, this is going to be the one. This author's from Mexico. But then I realized it is an American road trip. It's set in America. So this one will sadly not work for this challenge, but I thought I'd go ahead and mention it anyway here just because she is a Mexican author, and in the vein of this challenge of reading more diverse authors, I thought I'd go ahead and throw this one out there for possibly a future challenge. I don't know. I'm very interested in this book though, so it's officially on my to be read list for this year, but sadly it will not work for this challenge. So not Lost Children's Archive, but her other book, The Story of My Teeth, should be good for this challenge. The next one is The Hummingbird's Daughter. This is by Luis Alberto Urrera. I apologize if I butchered that. This is another one that I think is some magical realism. This is about a saint in the history of Mexico. So I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be up my alley, but it does sound interesting. It's won a literary award, and I believe this is set in Mexico, and the author is Mexican. So this book should work, and I think, I don't know, it sounds interesting. It doesn't sound like something I would normally pick up, which is, you know, kind of the whole point of this reading challenge, so that's good, but I'm not sure I would have picked it up if I hadn't specifically been looking for books in this category, but it does sound interesting, so it's going to remain on the list. Next up is Umami. This is by Leah Jeffressa. It is set in Mexico City. The author is from Mexico City. And this one just sounds like it's going to be very cute. And this one sounds very interesting. This quickly moved up to a top option for me. They mention the main character is living in Mexico City, and she buries herself in Agatha Christie novels to forget the death of her sister. Apparently it was a mystery, but this is just a contemporary novel. It does say heart-wrenching, which I don't like. I don't like to cry at books, but this is definitely an option. I kind of liked the premise for this one, and it will fit this category. Next up is The Diary of Frida Kahlo. This is obviously by Frida Kahlo, and she is from Mexico, and obviously since it's about herself, it's going to take place in Mexico. So this absolutely should work, and since it's a diary, technically this would also work for challenge number 1. Alright, and last but not least is Quesadilla, which, as some of the people in my small little Ohioan town would pronounce Quesadilla, which is hilarious. This is by Juan Pablo Villalobos, and I believe he is from Mexico, and this is set, I believe, in Mexico. This challenge was really challenged me, I have to say. No idea what this is about, but I have no idea what this is about, but there's tons of name dropping just in the brief synopsis. I see Aristotle, Castor, Pollux, and Pink Floyd. I have no idea what all those things do together, but it is an option. It's on the list. It should work. Set in Mexico by a Mexican author. So, this category was tough. So if you have any suggestions for a Mexican or Central American author that is writing books set in the country that they're from, I would love to hear down below. Thanks so much for watching task number 7. I will see you again tomorrow with task number 8.